I think it's fair to say that the former Revival, now FTR, have already got off to a very good start in AEW, feuding with the Young Bucks, but also sort of doing some stuff with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. It's actually been a really, really fun to see them there and do some great matches. And they're a team that got a lot of love when they were in NXT. Their feuds with American Alpha, their feuds with DIY, like, you know, they are some of like people's favorite times from NXT. But like a lot of NXT call-ups, their main roster was a bit of a wet fart run. So
That's a choice combination of 3 words. Thanks, mate.
you're
Needed that in the
welcome.
morning with my coffee.
So the question is, Adam, where did it go wrong for the Revival?
A really good tag team in a company that didn't care about tag team wrestling.
Cool, right? So that's that done then. That's
Yes. So what's the next one? Well, that's the thing is like NXT. It's not that NXT don't care about characters, but NXT has a keen understanding that aptitude can be an intrinsic part of character. Like someone being really good at wrestling, if handled and packaged in the right way, can be a really good characteristic. And the Revival drew all of their character from the fact that they were cunningly clever heels. Like they were laser focused. You know, they were originally called the Mechanicals for that reason, because they were incredibly into the kind of the working gears of tag team psychology. And psychology is not a big part of main roster tag team wrestling. It hasn't been for a while. There are lots of rules in tag team wrestling that aren't adhered to on the main roster. It's mostly just been sort of, you know, characters. It's, you know, the New Day has been the most successful tag team because they're the biggest characters, and Revival didn't fit into that kind of framework. When they came up, everyone was like, yes, the Revival. They defeated the New Day. Fantastic. They're on top. And then like their gimmick was just too nuanced for the main roster. So they put other, you know, Uzi Hot, that bit where I think it was Dash Wilder just sort of, you know, scooted along on his ass
Yeah,
on the
that
mat
feud
like
with the Usos was very, very bad. It made the Usos unlikable, and the
yeah.
Usos are actually really cool. Like they're like cool dudes. And that feud not only made the Revival look like dorks, it made the Usos look uncool.
Yeah, like I don't want to spend time in the USO penitentiary if what they're doing is spying on and laughing at people in the showers.
No.
That's terrible shower etiquette in a penitentiary. Yeah, they just they never got the time. Like they got a few tag team title runs, but even then they said on, you know, Talk is Jericho, we didn't want the titles because they
No.
didn't mean anything, and so all it would do is basically put another, you know, failed title run on our resume.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, ultimately I think the biggest mistake that WWE made was, you know, when they realized that they wanted to go, not changing course.
Yeah.
That, I think that's the
Totally.
biggest mistake that WWE made with them, is not realizing what they had, not kind of understanding the impact they would make going somewhere else, and not using that as an example to be just like, oh yeah, maybe let's reconfigure something that is currently not making us any money.
Yeah. And like the gimmick that they were going to give them, these sort of like of these comedy goofballs that Meltzer first reported and has since come out, you know, was 100% the plan. Like the designs leaked online, and Cash and Dax have actually confirmed, yeah, these were what we were going to do. They were going to wear like these giant clocks and like big hats. And the idea was, and I actually think it's quite cool that they were going to be, look, if you're not going to take tag team wrestling seriously, then neither are we. We're not going to take wrestling seriously. And they were going to go out there essentially making fun of WWE's bad creative. I think that actually would have been, you know, quite a good little run. I think there was actually some mileage to be had within
I think it's interesting. I think it's more work than you need to do
that.
to put on good tag team wrestling. And I think it's just one of those things where, yeah, the Revival are like, well, yeah, we probably will make this work because we're committed to our jobs. But it's just like, or we could go to the place that's currently got the best tag division in the world
Yeah.
and who've made us a pretty good offer.
I think for me, it's like it all fell down for the Revival on the main roster. As you said, WWE don't really like tag team wrestling. Vince McMahon, Arn Anderson actually said on a podcast recently, one of the reasons why Vince McMahon doesn't like tag team wrestling is you have to buy 2 tickets to fly someone out. Like if it's a singles match, you've only got to buy tickets for each of the people. If it's a tag match, that's 4 tickets you need to buy.
They love factions though, don't they? I wonder how much those new terrorists that have debuted on Raw are going to cost to fly out places.
But the other reason I think that hurt them was getting injured. Like they went up there, they kind of gave them this big debut, beating the New Day, and then instantly, I can't remember which one it was. One of them got injured, and then when they got back after that sort of like year-long injury, the other one got injured and was out for like 6 to 8 months. So they kind of missed like the first 18 months of their main roster run. And I think that when there's always been this thing that's said about Vince McMahon is when you get injured, you get a label on you that you are injury prone. Finn Balor got this exact same thing. As soon as he got injured when they gave him the Universal title, that was it. It was like, well, there's nothing really more can be done with you because I can't trust to put anything on you because you're probably going to get injured again and we're going to have to change all of our plans.
That's so wishy-washy and selective, though. Randy
Oh
Orton's got a shoulder made of glass, but they still put world titles on him. And Seth Rollins, his knee thing. Like it's an annoyingly kind of some for you, but not for you.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the thing. Is like if they don't care about you, if you're not one of their kind of like proven projects, then yeah, you can get labeled as injury prone. Like poor delightful Christian, who was never kind of Vince McMahon's favorite. And it's a very convenient reason to not push someone, I think. But like they showed commitment, I think, but they tried their best to sell Uzi Hart, to sell all this stuff, and they put over Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Like, the Revival have done their jobs. It's just they never received anything approaching professional courtesy in return. So yeah, I cannot wait to see what they do in AEW.